Howdy y'all, and welcome to the Stay Creative Podcast, a show dedicated to celebrating independent artists and sharing their art and story. I have found that when we listen to a person talk about their passion, we can take some of it for our own. So this show is also dedicated to you, the listener, not only becoming a fan of the guest's work, but also taking another step towards growing as an artist and loving the artist you already are. The world is a better place with you and your creations in it, and I am grateful for this time that I get to share my current favorite artists with my future favorite artists. Today I'll be talking with a good friend of mine, Doug, of the project Pultixima, Pultixima. He's got a good deal of diverse and fantastic music up online already. You can find him on Spotify under that name. He has a new single coming out December 18th and one that just released at the end of November. Just before that, an entire EP. So there's plenty to dive into, and we're going to share and talk about as much of that as we can here today. So stick around.
Sound, it's the sound of being born.
Hey, Doug, thanks so much for agreeing to come on the show and talk to me and share some of your your journey and your art with us. I am excited to get into some of that music and some of that background. But first, for anybody who might not be familiar with your work yet, just give us an introduction. What would you say you make, and who are you?
Yeah. Well, let me first start off with a crack of a beer here
Yes,
because
absolutely.
we need to christen this. You see, this is the start of season 3, I believe,
It
of
is.
the podcast, and I just wanted to have a little bit of a ceremonial toast to you and for all the work that you've been doing with this
Aw,
podcast. You've done a fantastic job with it, man.
that means the world. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. I'm sorry. What was the question again?
Well, I'm gonna add a little to the question now. First off, introduce your drink. What are you having?
Well, I'm not having the finest beer, but I'm having the common man's lager right now. I'm drinking a Yingling, not my favorite, but it was
You
around.
definitely just gained like 80 fans just because you're drinking real beer. You're not drinking seltzer beer like I do.
Oh God, no, I actually can't do seltzer beers.
Hmm.
They really mess me up.
Oh
I'll
wow.
have like one or two, and I will be completely asleep. But I can have, not to say I have a problem or anything, but I could have like 3 or 4 beers and be completely lucid and fine.
Yeah, that's wild. That's crazy. I've always heard that different. Obviously, all alcohol is a depressant. Some people are all like, "Man, tequila makes me wild," So I understand how some stuff just works different.
Oh, tell me about it. Same.
Awesome. But yeah, the rest of the question was, who are you and what would you say you make?
Well, I am Pultixima, for those that don't know me. I'm part of IMF community, which if you are not a part of it, definitely join it. It's an awesome community. But I make alternative rock mainly, with a little bit of a mixture of electronic elements and sometimes a little bit of acoustic or folk elements. As far as me personally, so my name's Doug. I live in Delaware, the tiny, tiny first state of the United States of America. Yahoo. And it's a weird area, home of the pumpkin chunkin and the scrapple, if you've never had scrapple. I'm right off of Pennsylvania Dutch country.
Hmm.
Like, I probably can get to Amish country in about 20 minutes from where I live.
Oh wow.
Philly by 20 minutes, and then New York is just a stone's throw away. So I'm kind of in the nexus of everything, from like weird back roads to metropolitan big
Hmm.
city life. So it's kind of a nice little mixture of everything. All the people
Yeah.
from New York come down to get their cigarettes because we have no tax. So we see a lot of people coming our way.
It already sounds like some of the middle zone living maybe fed into your mixture of alternative rock and kind of folksy and electronic elements. Do you think that that's stuff you picked up being where you are?
Yeah, I guess you could say a little bit of that. I mean, we have a pretty prevalent local band presence in Delaware. There's not a lot much else to do. So there's a lot of people here that kind of form bands, anything from punk rock, straight up traditional rock, a couple cover bands here and there. But we always have like live shows going on around the bars and stuff like that. I would say, like, in general, also the community in Delaware is very, very supportive of local artists. That's always been kind of a big standout point for me, and something that I really appreciated about this area is like everyone's kind of just like happy to jump in and be a part of something if they can pick up a guitar or play a piano or something like that. So I think that there's always kind of an open dialogue for all different types of music in this area.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of influences that come from a lot of, areas that are close by. So we've got the big band presence. We can go to Philly. We can see a big show. We have that local bit in there as well.
That's really cool, and it makes sense because in the time I've known you, it's all been because we're both in IMF,
Yeah.
but you seem to fit in, get along, and enjoy pretty much whatever's going on at any given time.
I have nothing but love for IMF.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, it's just one of those things that it felt like I stumbled into it at the perfect time in my life. I've never been a Reddit user. So I was kind of looking for new outlets to try and get to know people and then get my music out there, because I was trying to get back into it. To see that it was just so lively, and like there was just a lot of vitality in the community that otherwise you don't really get, because you don't have that live sort of like reaction from people. So I was really excited, really just took it and ran with it, and just have embraced it.
Yeah, man, for sure, for sure. And I feel like the two of us together could probably sing IMF's praises for a long time. But I do absolutely want to get more into some of your own journey and some of your music too, because hopefully, saying, "Wow, I want to make music with that guy," that's what'll really bring folks to our shores. Um,
Sure, taking the turn here. Okay, all right, let's talk about me. All right,
yeah,
what do you
yeah. So
got for me?
one thing that I have found is super valuable to ask artists is
Mhm.
tell me about something that has changed the way you create.
So I started making music around high school. Up until that point, I was private schooled. I went to a Christian school in Delaware, a really, really small school. I grew up with the same 15 kids up until eighth grade.
Wow.
It was a weird experience, and I had the option to continue going to private school, going into ninth grade. But one, was kind of like, man, this costs a lot of money, and also I feel like this is kind of weird, just hanging out with 15 people all the time, and
Mm.
it just didn't feel right. I don't think I necessarily had as well thought out in my brain everything in eighth grade, but like to me, it just kind of felt a little bit off.
Yeah.
So I went to a public school starting ninth grade and did the whole shebang of bus rides every single day and getting up at like 5 a.m. and all that kind of stuff. I was not a popular kid in high school.
Mm.
So I was really, really shy. I actually had difficulty talking to anybody as soon as I set foot into that high school. For about the first 2 years that I was there, I probably uttered about 3, 4 sentences inside the school. I just had debilitating shyness because of just the overwhelming nature of seeing so many different people, different backgrounds that I'd never been exposed to, all these different types of things. It made me a target for about the first 2, 3 years actually of high school, which is basically the whole entire experience. Not really that different from a lot of people's, I guess, high school experiences, but it definitely got me to a certain point of feeling very, very vulnerable. I'd say around that time, my grandmom, she got me an acoustic guitar, and I didn't touch it probably for the first 2 years that I had it. I just didn't really gravitate toward it at all. And then one day I just decided to kind of pick it up and start playing. And I found a copy of Adobe Audition somewhere online, 1995. The good old days.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I just started like recording and just seeing like some of the possibilities of like filtering and all that kind of stuff with just a basic Logitech mic, and it really became a bit of a respite for me. Making music. I bring this up simply because there was, at least in my journey, and maybe this has influenced my music today. I, at that point, was so like completely downtrodden, didn't really have a lot of people to reach out to. Failure didn't really seem all that bad. And I think that that's kind of an important aspect when you're creating anything,
Mm.
is to kind of jump in and have a sense of fearlessness, a sense of just being like, let's give this a shot. And, you know, give it a go. And who cares if it fails? I
Yeah.
didn't have anybody to really like, project this onto or anything. It was just sort of like, let's give this a shot. We'll put it up on the internet. We'll kind of just put it out there to a couple people and see what happens. And facing that large rejection coming into high school and then going into that in a creative aspect, it kind of gave me a limitless possibility on trying to do different things, mix sounds in
Mm.
different ways, try to find, something that was a little bit weirder or stranger, um, or explore topics or subjects that people don't often talk about.
Yeah, that makes sense because a lot of your music has a very almost pop music style wide appeal to it, but also there is a lot of exploration and uses of sound and maybe like a hint of like progressiveness to it that is more challenging. And I just mean challenging as kind of a opposite of poppy at times. Opposite of candy music.
No, absolutely. If you've ever listened to my music, you can tell I'm not a fan of generally sticking to one genre in a song,
Hmm.
or sticking to one genre in general. I play a lot of different stuff, simply because I just love everything, man.
Yeah.
It's just such a good time to like just kind of mess around with different palettes, different sounds, and seeing if like, what if we took a metal, tracks and we threw them into electronica in a weird like ambient track, or what if we took some folk and threw it into, I don't know, grindcore or something weird, like I mean like just like kind of odd stuff, like and just seeing what comes out of it. You may have a really ugly baby, but at least you kind of saw it through.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like your appreciation for making combinations of things and also just not being tethered to any one genre is pretty obvious, because the first, the intro track was Pot of Frogs from your earlier EP, and the one we're about to share, Driftoff, is different in every way. So why don't you introduce Driftoff for me, paying some special attention to the story.
When I recorded the track, I had just finished up the EP, which if you listen to the EP is kind of like, it's a little sad, it's got that acoustic feel, a little bit of folk, it's kind of cold. And I really, really was just like in that mood of just being like, you know what, like you got to make music sometimes that's just a lot of fun to play. And I was thinking back to a lot of the old bands that I used to listen to in the 90s, Incubus, thinking about like just like fun little riffs and just things to play that just are enjoyable to kind of just, listen to. And you even like look back at some of the lyrics in the 90s and you're just like, oh my God, they're ridiculous. Like, but they're kind of just like fun and carefree. Like it even permeated the mainstream, but like, punk music in the 90s, there was just a bunch of goofy comedy skit punk bands. Like, I mean, all sorts of weird stuff like that. So I guess when, approached with the idea of doing the lyrics for Driftoff, it was really like, well, what's a weird concept we can run with? And the idea was, what if there was a guy that we shot into space voluntarily, and he just had a bunch of drugs with him. And like, I couldn't think of a better idea to just kind of run with. And sure enough, it like over time just started becoming like, a whole entire like epic of this guy just going through the cosmos, floating along and just witnessing all of these things, from black holes to stars to the different planets, and him just like having this sort of carefree nature about all of it, and it just kind of intaking everything and just like this beauty of it. And it really just came together. It's just like this crazy little track, and it's ridiculous. It's meant to be ridiculous. It's meant to be fun. And,
There are a few lines, when you talk about how he's traveling through the beauty of this endless expanse, there are a few lines that imply he's meeting other entities. Is that just the drugs and isolation talking, or does Driftoff exist in a world where aliens are absolutely out there?
I like to think it's the latter.
Okay.
I really like the idea of him just kind of like hanging out with some aliens on Mars and meeting a vixen on Venus, like just some those nice little aspects that really kind of make him feel not so alone out there. But yeah, I always love the idea of kind of approaching it from the we aren't alone in the universe kind of thing.
Podcast aside right now, are we alone in the universe? That's the question of the moment.
I don't think there's any possible way we couldn't be. I mean, like you look at the the endless possibilities in the expanse of the universe. There's mathematically it doesn't make any sense. I mean, is it life like we know it? No, maybe not. But there is certainly life out there. It may not be complex as us, but it is definitely there.
That's awesome. I think you can tell a lot about a person by the answer to that question. And I think I just found out we're gonna get along just fine.
Oh yeah.
So let's listen to Driftoff, man.
drift in. I'm at the mercy of the weightlessness and all these sights to see. What about the drums? I mean, my God, they were amazing. They're fantastic. And the bass and this, oh man, the production. Oh man, I don't know who worked on that, but they're fantastic.
Decent dudes, one and all, for sure. Awesome, man. Awesome. I want to say, of course, I need to mention that Driftoff by Pultixima. I don't think I've said your artist name enough yet. Pultixima.
Yes, sir.
That song is available on Spotify and pretty much everywhere, like just mainstream distribution, right?
Yep. It's the Distro Kids Suite, so it's basically everywhere. YouTube, Google Play, iTunes, Apple Music. Yeah, it should be everywhere. Hopefully.
Is it on those little screens that you have to listen to whenever you are pumping gas?
Oh, it's definitely there. I paid the premium price for that. That was like an extra $6. But
yeah,
I think that people will enjoy that when they're gassing up.
Yeah, man, awesome. So like I was saying before we listened, though, it is wildly different from your work on At Night We Turn to Animals. So I want to go into how you go about kind of getting these ideas, because At Night We Turn to Animals is an adventure. You've got like the very warm acoustic and the cold electronic that you've kind of alluded to, but and then all of a sudden Driftoff shows up, where it's basically a psychedelic, rock ballad. How do you approach creating?
I've been asked that before, and it's kind of a mixture. So at least with this album, it was kind of a mix of two things. The first thing was I knew what theme I wanted when I went into this, because I am somebody that, really spends a lot of time in the woods. I am somebody that's constantly hiking. I am somebody that's constantly picking up animals and making sure if they're like an orphaned animal or something, getting them a shelter or like somewhere like an animal rescue. Like I am very, very big on that kind of stuff. So one of the things that I definitely wanted to start off with At Night We Turn to Animals with was the concept of kind of intermixing human behavior with one, the common tropes that you'd often hear, like atheist in a foxhole is something that you'll hear a lot if you're in the military, or pot of frogs. There's the common theme that a frog will sit in water if you leave it and let it boil. So like the idea was to kind of intermix those sounds with like human emotions a little bit, and just like kind of describe those different themes in a certain way. And honestly, they came out generally pretty dark. So it kind of like flew or threaded that way into an EP that felt a little bit cohesive. I do not start with lyrics until the song is generally finished. If you're familiar with Matt Berenger from The National, he's a big proponent of this, where he'll get a finished track and then he will add his lyrical approach to it. For me, lyrics and vocals come last. So with this, it was really just okay, I've got this finished track, Pot of Frogs. Well, like, what kind of vocal approach does this kind of entail? What's the theme that I'm trying to get at here? And I knew a couple of the names of the tracks, and then it was really just about, kind of fleshing out the lyrics and being like, okay, so how do we fit this in? Is this the one that, kind of matches Pot of Frogs? Is this the one that matches Atheist in a Foxhole? It's kind of like a two-pronged approach, basically.
It sounds like you had names and music and then decided to put them together in certain ways.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll go crazy. You'll have a lot of tracks that is just like, oh my God, what is this? This doesn't make any sense. But then like you'll certainly hit one eventually, and you'll be like, okay, this is the one. This is the one that goes in the EP.
Yeah. And you mentioned that some of the sounds came through kind of dark, but man, they are, I'm gonna say, like, dark is such a word for like scary or even like menacing, often is what dark conjures to mind. And I would say that it does not hit those places at all. It feels mysterious. It feels like exploring a forest where the fog is just thick enough that you can only see so far.
Oh my God. You are describing my paradise right now. Like that's the perfect day in the woods for me. It's just one of those days that just kind of feels like you're just shrouded and just alone and, kind of with your thoughts. So that was definitely something that I think kind of comes through in the music a little bit. And I guess that is part of the personality. I've always been somebody that enjoys being in isolation as much as I enjoy, kind of being around my friends and other people.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I feel like there's a special kind of contentment that you need to be able to reach with just yourself in order to have the patience, I guess, like have the wherewithal to sit and create something good, to not be in a hurry to finish the thing and go, but to enjoy your own company and your own creative like process enough to sit there and see it to the end.
Tell me about it, man. I mean, you gotta love what you're making, or it shows in the end product. I mean, if you don't have the enthusiasm over what you're doing, like, you might as well just stop. Like you gotta have that. And if you don't love what you're making, there's no shame in just saying, all right, well, let's move on to something I do love.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think demystifying, dispelling a lot of the tendency to shame in an artistic approach is important. Like you brought up earlier, just start trying stuff. Like to some extent, you just got to be bold, and you got to start trying, and that doesn't happen if you are scared of what it might sound like without having heard it.
True, absolutely true.
That's cool, man. But that album is called At Night We Turn to Animals, and it is also available on the full DistroKid suite. Okay, so I would like to play a game of Two Lies and a Truth.
All right, so Two Lies and a Truth. All right, let me think here. Oh my God. All right. I think I got it. Okay, here we go. All right, Two Lies and a Truth. So, first one. I have a sixth toe. Second one is I have kept a crocodile as a pet. And the third one is that I have been struck by lightning.
These are so okay. I think my immediate hope is that the lightning was not true, first off. Obviously, I don't want that to have been true. But also, I feel like that would have come up somewhere in a conversation. I think all of these would have come up somewhere in a conversation. I have to go with the crocodile.
You are 100% correct.
Excellent. So I know this is a show about music.
Yes.
And the wonderful artistic soul that has blessed me with their time, and I'm grateful for it, but I do need to know more about this crocodile. What was his name?
So as I alluded to before, I'm a big fan of animals. And my dad, one day he came home with a baby crocodile, and I was instantly just like enthralled with this thing. I adored it. Like, I did not want to let go of it. So I begged to keep it as a pet. My dad said, okay, that's fine. My mom, not so much. But we got a tank for it. It was just a little tiny thing. I mean, it was not even like, 6 inches at the time that we got it. And I named him Chompers, which I think is a totally appropriate name for a crocodile. Yeah. He basically grew to be about 2 feet long. And it was about that point that I guess both my parents kind of clued in, like, this isn't going to stop. This thing is like going to relentlessly grow. And it's going to get to a certain point where we, one, are not going to have a tank big enough to hold it. And two, like, how do we feed the thing? I mean, like, the climate in Delaware is not great for a crocodile, might I also add. So we did finally decide to let it go. So we took Chompers down south to crocodile country, around the Florida area, down in the bayou. And we let him go. But I miss him to death. Hopefully he's out there, living his best life.
Eating whole goats.
Yeah,
I imagine
goats. Whatever he finds.
Yeah, anything smaller than him.
Right.
Awesome, man. That's fantastic. And also, I feel very blessed to have won my first round of Two Lies and a Truth.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that you were my first contestant, man. I'm also, just to extend past that, I'm just grateful for you, man. I think your music is top notch. I think it's going to inspire people just with its quality and its honesty. Like your music is disarming in a way that is really enjoyable. There's not like this overbearing like pretentiousness that comes with a lot of really well-made rock and roll.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. And almost agreeing with it sounds kind of pretentious, but no, but really, I am internally grateful for anybody that listens to my stuff. I'm not in a rush to go anywhere or blow up or anything like that. I really, really just make music because I love doing it. And if other people enjoy what I do, that lets me know, keep on doing what you're doing. And I appreciate any support that I get, and just thank you for anybody that listens to this podcast and checks it out. I really appreciate it.
I do want to give you a moment to say hellos, say shout out, whatever you may have on your heart.
Yeah. So first and foremost, thank you to the IMF community. Mwah! Love you guys. You guys are all fantastic. And also just want to dedicate some time also to just giving a shout out to anybody locally that's been supporting me and following me on this. So to my fiance, Amelia, love you to bits, to Steph, to Kira, to Jerry, to oh God, you get on this rattling of naming names and then you start to Kevin, absolutely to Kevin. And just to Chelsea, to Brandon, and really anybody else, just thank you so much for following me along this way. And last thing I just want to say, support local artists. They are writing music not for a paycheck. They are writing music because they love writing music. So always, be the person, be the champion in the corner for your friends, for somebody locally that you just really, really like their sound. They love that interaction. They love having the supporters. That lets them know that you should keep on going, keep on making music. So just put that out there and spread the love. Spread the love always, especially during these times.
Set the mind to ease. Time will see how deep she buries me. How many turns till we know that these lights are letting go. Pissing out my nose. Already let me know. It's kicking around the bed. Kicking around. God, no lover have been wasting all her time. I'm out there, not here. Somebody loves you. Somebody loves you. Somebody loves you. It's just too late. Never keep the rabid dogs. Hiding the world of disease. Steel tip in the door. Steel tips in the doors. Letting go. Pissing out my nose. Already let me know. It's kicking around the bed. Kicking around the bed. Kicking around the bed. Around the
Hey, I'm really grateful for the time you shared today talking with me and Doug. I hope you heard something in his music that truly spoke to you and maybe inspired you to start blending some ideas together and start trying some things just to see if they work. Be sure to look up his work under the name Pultixima, Pultixima, online. Obviously, the DistroKid suite we referred to it as. So pretty much, if you Google it, you will find it. And of course, I need to thank Doug one more time. Just the easygoing nature with which he shared some of his background, his story, and just the tips that he has picked up is really helpful. And I think it's a good picture of how artists can lift one another up. So thanks, Doug. If you like what you heard today, you can find links to me and the artist in the show notes. Be sure to follow my link tree to find me on the different social medias and also Discord. Go and follow the artist on Spotify so the algorithm gods are beneficial for them. And share this show. Leave a review, leave a like, leave a comment, whatever you can do on whatever service you're using. It would mean a lot to me for the sake of the show, but also it would mean a lot for this show's ability to promote these artists well, to honor the time they're sharing with us well, and to just love independent music a little bit better. So thank you so much for listening. Your time, of course, is the first gift, the best gift you can give. I hope to share more of that time again soon, but until then, please stay courageous, stay curious, and stay creative.